Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the Bowling University studio in the International Bowling Campus here in Arlington, Texas. This is the Profit Break. If you're joining us for the first time, we're glad you're here. Give us 15 minutes, and you're going to be well on your way to improving yourself and your profitability. Now look, folks, as small business owners and operators, technology sometimes can be overwhelming and intimidating as we navigate the day-to-day business. But today's guest has met that challenge head on. He's not only embracing technology, but he's helping provide a solution for our industry to help you increase sales. So join us today in studio is Mr. Dan Mowery. Dan is the serial entrepreneur who is CEO and founder of Mowery Entertainment. He's also a fellow bowling proprietor at Midway Bowl in Carlisle, PA, and most recently CEO and founder of Bowl Now, which provides technology focused on getting more bowlers bowling more often. Daniel, always great to have folks stop by the studio. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So hey, let's start with you. I know we've seen you at some events and trade shows, industry gathering, you're a fellow proprietor, but I know you have a history in the golf industry. So how did you get from golf over to join us here into bowling?
Sure. So starting originally, my family got into entertainment a while ago. My grandfather, grew up around the businesses. First job was actually a shoe sprayer in a bowling alley. And at the age of 25, I bought my first center. And I remember taking that leap. I was scared, but I felt it was the right decision. And what really helped us is we set the mission statement from the beginning of creating fun, because what we really were betting on is that people, when they spend money, if you give them more value out of their dollar in entertainment than they spend, your business will grow. And that definitely happened. So the business took off, and on the business side, we dug into the profit per square foot and really looked at how much we're making in every inch of this building. And we made some adjustments with the layout and what we were leveraging our square footage for. Added other product lines in, and that really worked. In the Northeast, business gets very seasonal. So one of the first missions we had was to eliminate seasonality. So we added a 5,000 square foot patio area to help generate summer revenues. Because every year you just run out of money every summer, which was a really bad way to conduct business. So adding that in definitely helped stabilize the business. And then because that was going well, we scaled to a second location. And long term, I would love to own 10, 20, 30 bowling centers by the end of my career. It's been a very fun industry, and I really enjoy it.
Yeah, that's great, fascinating. So I hope everybody caught that. You opened took over your first business at the age of 25 as an entrepreneur. That's phenomenal. So congratulations. And I know that there's a lot more growth there happening there. You're a fellow operator, right? And you deal with the same issues that everybody's dealing with today. Let's talk kind of strategically, maybe at 30,000 feet. How do you see inflation impacting discretionary income? I mean, specifically as it is for out-of-home entertainment like you have.
Sure. Great question. I think it's worth going back a little bit, pre-COVID, looking at COVID, post-COVID, and then today. Pre-COVID, gas prices were very low, which helped money build in people's pocket. The economy is going along. Things are healthy. People are spending on bowling. And then boom, we get smacked with COVID. Everybody shuts down. And we are in a position where we're all wondering how we're going to stay in business. But let's remove what we felt as proprietors and think about the American people. They were stuck home, had the worst cabin fever in the history of our nation. Everyone's stuck at home. But on the financial aspect, they were saving. They weren't going out. They weren't spending money. They weren't buying gas. They weren't, there were no real expenses occurring other than eating food and just hanging out at home. And then not to mention, America prints almost $1 trillion in stimulus money, mails it out. So Americans as a whole had more in savings than they had in a very, very long time. So now COVID ends and the floodgates open. Everything's still priced the same. And Americans are juiced up with savings, and they've been stuck inside, and they just come out and they're spending money like it's monopoly money. And we've seen a terrific boom in bowling, which is great. People are coming out, they're spending money. But when you have this much goods and this much money, and then you print this much money, well, inflation, things have to cost more. So now going to the grocery store, it's costing twice as much to get your groceries. Well, that $200 is now going to food instead of bowling, and I believe people are still spending and trying to hold on to those habits. But I think like literally right now, that's starting to get pinched. People are seeing their savings go lower. Like if you look at national metrics, savings are reducing, credit card debt is increasing, auto defaults are increasing. There's signals that people are literally running out of money. So I think there is going to be a pullback on discretionary spending. I think people still need to have fun. I think they will still come have fun. I just think their spending will be a little different. They're looking to get a value out of a dollar. They're saying, hey, what's the family package? Or, they're coming out once and not twice in the month. And maybe they're not buying that arcade card, So they're really just watching their dollar more carefully. At our centers, Q4, we're seeing a slight pullback. And I think in 2024, our goal has been, instead of double-digit growth, single-digit growth. We'll see what happens, but I think it's going to be a fight to maintain a point of growth through the years to come.
Yeah, great insight from your lips to Washington's ears. You know more about economics than most folks in Washington. We should send you up there to fix that up, fix that there. So let's shift from the industry. We all know about your industry acumen and passion for the industry. But I also know, as a serial entrepreneur, you're passionate about technology. I just know that, meeting you a few times. What do you think? Let's talk about what impact is technology going to have on an industry in bowling that really oftentimes is seen as very, we're not early adapters in technology. So what role is technology going to play in our industry?
Sure. Another great question. I think over the next decade, we're going to see more of a transformation from technology than we've seen in the past half century. With the birth of artificial intelligence and how rapidly that is going to be changing everything that we touch, we as proprietors need to be ready for that, and it's coming one way or another. And this is going to touch every angle of business in every aspect, everything from operations to sales, HR, legal, reporting. Every portion of business will be touched, to the point that leveraging a strong tech stack will become the brain of your business. And the first positions to go are going to be, the first job functions to go are going to be the ones that take low cognitive function and are very repeatable. What do I mean by that? For instance, food running. You can now program a robot to deliver food to a lane, because it's not a high level of cognitive function to walk food out, and it's also very repeatable. You're going to the same spot every time, back and forth. It's a really simple job. The spots that are going to remain are high levels of cognitive function with abstract job duties. And for us, we're in the customer service business, so that human element, I think, will be preserved for a very, very long time. And what it'll do, this is a real gift for us as proprietors. The things that are redundant, doing reports, scheduling, all the things that you have to sit down and it's a real difficult task to complete it because it's monotonous. That's going to be able to be freed up, and those employees can then focus on the real business we're in, which is customer service and making the guests have a great time, and leveraging that human interaction and guest experience and the creative side of building a better solution for people to really enjoy going to these entertainment locations. So I think technology is something that, if properly leveraged over the next decade, is going to be the best tool that proprietors have to change. And realistically, to jump in, it's not that expensive. It's not like you're building a new location. It's not that expensive to use these tech tools. So I think there'll be a really exciting decade to come in what is going to happen with tech.
Yeah, it's a great reminder, Dan, that as proprietors and operators, that we never lose sight that we're in the experience business, and we should embrace technology and not run from it or be overwhelmed by it. So I know that. Let's shift gears now a little bit to your product, as if running 2 centers wasn't enough, and thinking about growing your physical plant, with your bowling centers. You've developed a program and technology called Bowl Now. Can you give kind of folks joining us today a little overview of what is Bowl Now and how does it work?
Sure. So I think it's important to start with the mission statement. Our mission statement is to create more bowlers that bowl more often by leveraging technology. And I want to take a second to talk about the team too, because when I started this, I'm what you call a non-technical founder. I don't know how to code. Never have learned. Never going to be able to. I actually have dyslexia. It's never going to happen. So not something I'll be able to do. But I do have domain expertise in bowling. So it was really important to go out and find experts in technology and scaling technology products for us to assemble a team to be able to help. So we've included a CTO, Dan Mowery, and he has domain expertise in coding and scaling technologies, and Scott Pashley and Scott Kaplan, who have experience in scaling technologies through other verticals. So this team, think of it like a triangle. We have my domain expertise, and then the expertise of others of bringing technology to industries that don't necessarily have what is needed today. So the team box is checked to execute on the mission statement we have. What we specifically do, we've built out a suite of software tools to help proprietors run their center, and those relate to reservation and payment, customer management, and we're beta testing a membership program right now. So if a proprietor out there has any questions about their tech stack and they need any assistance or advice, happy to talk proprietor to proprietor about that.
Yeah, that's fascinating. So I love the mind of a serial entrepreneur, right? Like, I'm an operations guy, so I'm always thinking about the operating perspective. How do we make it more efficient? How do we make it more productive? How do we improve the guest experience? And just brilliant people like you are out like, well, let's go invent the next thing. Let's come up with the next thing. So let's talk just a minute about one of the features of Bowl Now and kind of the reservation perspective. I mean, there are, how does that work? If I own I'm a single unit operator and I wanted to partner with Bowl Now, what would that look like? I mean, how does that work for a non-tech person?
Sure. So just to simplify it down to the bare bones, a person can pull out their phone, find your center, click reserve, select a product, and pay. And we have our payments actually information saved for the customer. So think about Amazon, think about Uber, these companies where you click a few buttons and boom, you're locked and loaded and you know that you're going to that place. It's incredible how lazy the customer has become. So just that idea of pulling out the card can be the difference between them buying from you or not, and that one extra click. And then on the back end, on the on the proprietor side, you get a very simple grid with what it actually looks like. So it's just a grid and an outlay of who's coming in. You just click on it, you see they've paid, and they can just walk right in the door and you send them down to bowl. So one thing we really made top of mind was, hey, how simple can we make this? Because who's going to be using it the most? The front counter. These are positions that turn over fast, and it takes a lot of training and oversight to drive results out of your front counter. So we knew that they had to be able to look at this, comprehend how to use it, and start using it in well under a 5-minute time. So the onboarding cannot be a long time. They need to glance at it. Okay, I get this. It's like every other interface I've seen. Boom, and use it. Not some complicated thing where they have to sit for hours determining how am I going to use this. So keep it super simple has been something we've really focused on, that this is just a real casual thing that proprietors can have live in an hour, and then it's benefiting their center. So that was a really important part to us, because me as a proprietor, just losing my password can keep me from getting into my QuickBooks for weeks because of how overwhelmed I am. And keeping that in mind, we knew we had to keep this unbelievably simple for it to be used in centers.
Well, now you're talking my language, simple. We can keep it there. Now we're in there. So obviously fascinating. We should probably have you back on set for another episode to just drill down into Bowl Now. We could do a whole episode on that. But before we let you go, I want to get back up to kind of 30,000 feet, because when we have someone with your technical perspective, I always want to know, AI is kind of the buzzword. Before we let you sneak away today for one last question here, how do you see AI interacting with bowling? Is it going to be a good thing? Is it going to be a negative thing? What are your kind of visionary thoughts, kind of where are we going to be 10 years from now with AI and bowling?
That's a great question. So I really believe it's going to become the brain of the business, and it's going to be something that is leveraged in every aspect of the business. It'll touch, like I was saying earlier, everything from operations to sales to marketing. And people much smarter than me say over the next decade, 80% of jobs are going to be majorly impacted by AI. So that doesn't mean they're going to be completely replaced, but a large portion of what can be done in an automated fashion. So what I think is more imperative than anything as a proprietor today is start to leverage technologies today that integrate with AI. Like that was one of the things we did, is looked at that and said, hey, on a product roadmap, how are we leveraging this software? Because without using it, you're digging your feet in, and you're going to end up falling behind. It's going to be essential to use it, and it will impact every part of the business that we touch, from the customer interaction to scheduling, to data review. It's going to be really a big thing, and the one on a true 30,000 foot level that we have to really consider just as humans is AGI. So this is artificial general intelligence. When it wakes up and becomes sentient, we have to be very careful on how we use this technology, that it is used for good, so it doesn't just replace all jobs. We need jobs, and we need to participate. So.
Yeah. Well, Daniel, thank you for stopping by. It's a pleasure to have you at the campus. As always, pleasure to have you stop by the studio there. It gives me great hope when we have wonderfully intelligent folks like you as the future of our industry, as proprietor and innovating technology. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks so much for having me.
Awesome. Well, hey, folks, if you're ready to get more bowlers bowling more often, you can connect directly with Daniel at joinbowlnow.com. That's joinbowlnow.com. If you're ready to start improving your profitability, you can reach us anytime at education@bpa.com. So as we wrap up another edition of The Profit Break, remember, when your focus is on growing people, people will grow your business. Now, this episode, as well as all of our previous episodes, are available 24/7 for you and your team at bowlinguniversity.net. Plus, we have new episodes available every month. Mark your calendar, watch your email. Join us on Facebook to hear about all the latest episodes. Until then, I'm Bart Berger. Remember, do for one what you wish you could do for everyone. We'll see you next time.